Today I'm going to bring you the ultimate combo guide for one of the best decks of the format, White Forest Azamina. This deck is super underrated and has a ton of amazing and really cool combos that can break almost any board and are super hard to crack themselves. So if you're excited for the video, make sure to smash the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. And if you want to take a look at the deck profile I used, the video is up in the cards right now. You're going to see 5 amazing combos in this video, one with each of the starters in the strategy that can go full combo, as well as one way to play around one of the most popular hand traps in the game, Nibiru. I'm also working on a White Forest Azamina spreadsheet where I look at all the different combo pieces in the deck and show you how they interact with all the different cards and give you example combos for each hand the deck can produce. If you're interested in that, let me know down in the comments and I'll show you how you can access it in a later video. But with that being said, here is the ultimate White Forest Azamina combo guide. Let's jump into it. So this first combo is the bare bones combo that requires a single copy of Sylvie and nothing else. The combo gets so much better if you have a Speller Trap to discard or Toy Box, that's amazing. But for this instance, I want to show off a Sylvie normal summon and that's it. So starting off, you're going to normal summon your Sylvie, use the effect to search for Tails, activate Tails to search for Azamina LZ. You're going to use the effect to special summon it to your side of the field and then perform a synchro summon. You're going to synchro into your Silvera, Wolf of the Wolf Tamer, and then you're going to use the effect of Azamina LZ in the graveyard because it was used as synchro material to search for Deception of the Sinful Spoils. You're going to activate Deception here, tribute your Silvera to search for Hallowed Azamina, and then you're going to activate Hallowed Azamina to be able to summon out Muresallago from the deck. I really want to point this out though, your fusion monsters, you really want to focus on putting them in the far left zone, the middle zone, or the far right zone, because cross sheep is so important in this strategy. We're then going to be able to use Resallago to search for Wanted Seeker of Sinful Spoils. Then we're going to be able to use our Sylvie in our graveyard, special summoning it and shuffle back in our Silvera into the extra deck. And then we're going to be able to use these two over here to summon out our cross sheep. We're going to now use the effect of Hallowed Azamina, putting back the Muresallago to be able to add it to our hand. And then we can go ahead and just activate our Hallowed Azamina, chain our Wanted Seeker of Sinful Spoils, which will add Diabellstar to our hand. We're going to send the Wanted to the graveyard with Hallowed Azamina and allow us to summon out our Ilia Sylvia. Now, Ilia Sylvia is summoned to a zone that Cross Sheep points to. It's also a fusion monster, so we can use Cross Sheep to be able to summon back from our graveyard a level 4 lower monster. In this case, we're summoning back LZ Azamina, and this is very, very important. So we're going to summon this card out. We're then going to use our Wanted in our graveyard, banishing it to be able to put our Deception of the Sinful Spoils back to the bottom of our deck. And we're going to add a random card to our hand, just a dead card in this specific situation. Doesn't matter what it is. So we're going to be able to now use our Diabellstar, send that blank card to the graveyard to special summon it, and activate its effect, which will set directly from our deck our Sinful Spoils of the White Forest. I'm going to keep it face up over here. Just notice that this card is face down from the effect of the Diabellstar. Now we can take our Cross Sheep and our Diabellstar and Contact Fuse into Magistus Chorozo, which is a level 4 tuner. So we're going to now take our LZ and our Magistus Chorozo, synchro summon them into Rissella, and use the effect of Rissella, sending our Sinful Spoils of the White Forest to the graveyard to add LZ of the White Forest. Chain 1 will be the effect of Sinful Spoils of the White Forest to reset itself because it was sent for cost, so it's going to be again reset to our side of the field. And then we're going to activate our LZ, sending it again for cost to be able to special summon it out and search, in this case, for a copy of Rusia. We're now going to be able to perform a synchro summon, these two over here, into our Diabell, Queen of the White Forest, and use the effect because it was summoned using a tuner synchro monster to add our Sinful Spoils of the White Forest back to our hand. And finally, we're now going to set the Sinful Spoils of the White Forest back to our side of the field, and this is our end board here. Now, depending on your hand, you can always summon out the Rusia to be able to get access to additional interruption, but I really want to keep it in your hand for a big reason. That's going to be, during our opponent's turn, we can go ahead and activate our copy of Sinful Spoils of the White Forest. We have a legal target in our extra deck being Guardian Chimera because we have 2 on field and 1 in hand, but we also want to be able to chain to that effect as well if we so choose. Or, depending on your situation, you may want to use the effect of your Sylvie of the White Forest first, which most of the time I do recommend as well. You can go ahead and use Sylvie, put back in your Rissella, which will trigger your LZ to add itself to hand. Then you would activate your Sinful Spoils of the White Forest, and you can fusion summon away your Sylvie, Rusia, and your LZ to get a draw 2 cards and a pop 1. And that will potentially get you into more spell and trap cards to be able to trigger the effect of Diabell, because you can use Diabell, sending away a spell or trap to be able to special summon from your extra deck a copy of your Silvera for a Book of Eclipse. You have an Omni-Negate here as well. And again, if we can fusion summon these 3 into Guardian Chimera, which is over here, you can get again that pop one, draw two, or pop two, draw one, depending on your order. So it's a really good opening combo for this deck as well. This next combo is really interesting, but a little bit weaker than the other ones, but it's still super important to know because it shows you how to take the Wanted engine and convert it into the White Forest engine. It's going to require Wanted Seeker of Sinful Spoils with any monster and any discard. In the draw phase, you're going to activate Wanted to be able to search for Diabellstar, proceed to main phase, and special it out, sending your triple tactic thrust or whatever discard is going to be. You're going to activate the Diabellstar to set Deception to your side of the field and activate it, triggering the Ash Blossom or the monster in your hand to be able to search for Hallowed Azamina. You're going to activate the Hallowed Azamina, sending the Deception for cost to summon out your Mu Resalago once again, and you're going to activate it to be able to search for your Azamina LZ. You're now going to take your Resalago and your Diabellstar, and you're going to perform that Contact Fusion into Magistus Chirozzo and use Azamina LZ to special summon itself. Now, before you go any further, you have to use the effect of your Hallowed Azamina to put back your Mu Resalago into the deck. That's very important because you need to have a spell card to be able to proceed. Now, you do have options. You have Wanted in Graveyard, so you can banish Wanted to take your Deception and put it to the bottom of the deck to be able to draw a card. The issue is, you don't know what you're going to draw into. If it's a spell card, you're in a great position because you can get the full combo going and end on an even better board because you still have Hallowed in hand. However, if it's a monster card, you can still do the combo. It's a bit weaker, but I just want to show that it's still possible. So for this sake, this card here is going to be a monster card that is just a dead card right now. Maybe it's another hand trap like an Ash Blossom or something. You're going to go ahead and you're now going to take these two, synchro summon them off into Risella Sinister Soul, activate the effect as Chainlink 1, and use LZ as Chainlink 2. You're setting this for cost as Chainlink 1 on Risella. You can choose whichever order you want to do them. It depends on what's more important. I feel like getting that monster card, getting the LZ is a lot more important. So off of the Azamina LZ, we get Sinful Spoils of the White Forest, and off of Risella, you have to get LZ here. You can technically get other cards, but at this point in the combo, you are now weak to Nibiru. Nib is officially live. So I don't want to have to commit to my normal summon until after I've already established Diabell. So what are you going to do here? You're going to activate LZ of the White Forest, sending Sinful Spoils of the White Forest to the graveyard to special summon it and search for a monster. You can search for one of two options, either Sylvie or a Stellar. The combo is technically stronger with the Stellar, but I don't think it's as good against hand traps. So I really want to focus on grabbing the Sylvie here. If you get the Stellar, you can basically end on a copy of Abyss Dweller in addition to your regular plays. That being said, at this point, we're now going to take our Sinful Spoils of the White Forest and reset it to our side of the field because it was sent to the graveyard to activate a monster effect in LZ. And we're going to take these two and perform a Synchro Summon once more into Diabell, Queen of the White Forest. Because it was Synchro Summoned using a Tuner Synchro monster, we can add any of our spell or traps from grave to hand, and right now our options are the card we sent off before or the Hallowed Azamina, which is what we're going to grab back to our hand. We're not planning to use it again. You could if you wanted to, sending the copy of Sinful Spoils of the White Forest, but we're not going to in this specific instance. We're going to go ahead and normal summon our Sylvie of the White Forest and use the effect to search. And once again, we have two targets. We have Tails or we have Woes. These are the only two options you should be considering, and it really depends on what the card you drew was. If you have ways to get extra extension on the field, then Tails is not super necessary. If you want to play a bit more conservatively and have a really interesting end board that's super layered, Woes can be a really good choice. In this specific instance, I'm actually going to go ahead and grab the Tails of the White Forest, which now we're going to be able to use our Tails of the White Forest to search for our copy of Rucia of the White Forest. This is going to be great because now we can take our Rucia and just special summon it, which is amazing. So now we can special summon it because we have a White Forest monster, activate the effect, we can send our Hallowed Azamina to the graveyard if we want to, and we can draw an additional card if it makes sense for us. But more importantly than that, I'm not going to draw the card because I want to show the combo in its entirety. We're going to take our Sylvie and our Rucia, and we can do one of two things. We can either overlay into our big Abyss Dweller, Baguska, whatever the case might be, or we can just hard make our Silhouette Rabbit, use the effect to set from our deck the Angel Statue Azaroon to our side of the field. Now we can pass turn to our opponent, and what we have is pretty interesting. We have Sinful Spoils of the White Forest, Angel Statue Azaroon in hand, we have the Hallowed Azamina for follow-up, but we also have a lot more plays. So during our opponent's turn, we can activate one of Rucia or Sylvie, let's call it Rucia, use the effect, shuffle back in our Risella into the deck, and summon it out. Once it's summoned to our side of the field, we can activate our LZ of the White Forest to add it to our hand. At this point in time, we now have guaranteed a monster in hand, and we have at least two monsters on the field. So Sinful Spoils of the White Forest is live to summon out Guardian Chimera, which is going to be one of the better interruptions this deck has to offer on the opponent's turn. So if we can manage to summon that out, that obviously would be great. And we can take, let's say, the Silhouette Rabbit and the Rusia and the LZ in hand to be able to summon that out. Before you do that, you also want to look at summoning out your Angel Statue Azarune, which once you summon it out, will trigger Silhouette Rabbit to be able to pop a spell or trap on the field, and then Angel Statue Azarune is a summon negate, which is really good. You then have a Diabell. You have a spell card in hand that you can use. You can pitch this and be able to summon out a copy of Silvera from your extra deck as well, which will allow you to Book of Eclipse the board. So just off a single copy of Wanted, a monster card, and any discard, you can end on a really threatening board that has a lot of interruption, including possible Guardian Chimera plays. You have Diabell, a summon negate, you have a pop of a spell trap, Book of Eclipse, and you have follow-up as well. It's very, very scary. This next combo is a very basic combo with a Stellar. It's a 1.5 card combo as long as you have the Stellar plus any spell or trap card. You're going to start by normal summoning the Stellar, using the effect to send the Thrust to the graveyard to special summon a Light Tuner spellcaster from your deck, in this case Sylvie, which on summon will search for your Tales of the White Forest. Now usually you might say, oh, I want to go and activate my Rhoda effect here, but no, you're going to Synchro Summon right away into your Rosella Sinister Soul. And you're going to use the effect on summon, discarding the Tales of the White Forest to add to hand your LZ Azamina of the White Forest. Next up, you're going to trigger the effect of Tales here to reset itself, but you're not going to use the effect of a Stellar just yet. We're going to go ahead and activate our Tales of the White Forest now to get a search for the LZ, and now we can use our Azamina LZ to special summon itself out. This right here is our 4th summon. We want to make sure we save the Stellar effect for after that 5th summon so we can protect ourselves from Nib. Once we have this situation here, we're now going to go ahead and perform a Synchro Summon with these two into our Diabell, Queen of the White Forest. We're going to go chain 1 effect of LZ to add a Sinful Spoils card, and chain 2 will be Diabell to add a spell or trap. In this case, it doesn't matter at all which one it is because we're just going to discard it right away. We're now going to be able to add Deception off of the Azamina LZ. At this point, this is our 5th summon here. If our opponent tries to nib us, we always have the protection with our Diabell to be able to start triggering other effects, which can allow the ball to just continue on going. Our next activation is going to be the LZ effect. We special summon it by sending the Tails to Grave for cost and search for our Rusia here. Once this is done, we can go ahead and use our Stellar in our graveyard, which will summon itself back out because a spell or trap was sent to grave to activate a monster effect. Now we're going to go and activate our Deception. We're going to use the effect Tribute our copy of a Stellar. It doesn't matter which one you tribute really, and you add to hand your Hallowed Azamina. You're now going to activate your Hallowed Azamina to special summon from the extra deck your Muresilago by sending Deception to the graveyard, and Muresilago on summon will search for a Wanted Seeker of Sinful Spoils. Next up, you're going to perform a special summon. You're going to link off into your copy of Cross Sheep. It doesn't really matter which zone it goes into as long as you can find a way to make sure that you can special summon a fusion monster to that zone. You're now going to use the Hallowed Azamina, targeting your Muresilago, putting it back into the extra deck to add it to your hand. You're going to activate it right away, and you're going to chain your Wanted to it. This is important because now you can again add your Diabell Star, send your Wanted to the graveyard, and the Hallowed Azamina will summon from the extra deck and Ilya Sylvia. And because Ilya Sylvia was summoned to a zone Cross Sheep points to, and it's a fusion monster, you can special summon any level 4 or lower monster in your graveyard. I'm going to summon back the copy of, if I can find it, my Sylvie of the White Forest here. There we go, Sylvie. In this situation here. Doesn't matter which one you summon back, it actually could come up quite a bit. We're now going to go ahead and link off our Sylvie and our Cross Sheep and summon out a Silhouette Rabbit, which will activate to set directly from our deck an Angel Statue Azarune. Once that's done, we can use our graveyard effect of Wanted. There it is, banish it, and target your Deception of the Sinful Spoils to put it on the bottom of the deck, and you'll draw 1 card. It's going to be any card you want. It doesn't matter which one it is. It doesn't affect the combo. It could, depending on the draw, but most of the time you're going to be using it, sending it to the graveyard to special summon your Diabell Star, which will activate to set directly from the deck a copy of Sinful Spoils of the White Forest. Now you can go ahead and special summon your Rusia of the White Forest because you have a White Forest monster. You're going to use the effect sending the Sinful Spoils of the White Forest to the graveyard to draw an additional blank card to your hand. You're going to activate the Sinful Spoils of the White Forest to reset itself, and then you're going to perform a summon for Magistus Chorozo and link off, or rather overlay these two for an Abyss Dweller. Now, Abyss Dweller is great in this format for a few different reasons, notably Mitsurugi is a great deck, and you want to have access to ways to shut that off. But this end board is very threatening. We not only ended with a card in our hand as well to replace the discard of the Centigrave off of the Stellar, for example, but we also have an Angel Statue Azarune and a potential poly into Guardian Chimera. So during our opponent's turn, what do we have? Well, Diabell can summon out something like our Silvera to Book of Eclipse the board. We also have the Sinful Spoils of the White Forest, which can summon out our Guardian Chimera if necessary as well. Just keep in mind, you usually will want to use the effect of your Sylvie or your Rucia in your Abyss Dweller, summoning out to the field by putting back your Ricella. That will trigger your LZ to add itself to your hand, which will also allow you to have that monster in your hand to summon out that Guardian Chimera. So there's a lot of plays that you can do, and this end board is very scary, has a ton of layers, so just keep that in mind. And you have obviously the Omni-Negate with Ilias Sylvia and the Dweller as well. This next combo is a crazy 2-card combo with LZ and Toy Box, and it shows one of the reasons why you play the Toy Engine in this strategy. It just raises the ceiling of the deck so much. This is one of the best combos the deck can produce, and there are so many other lines that you can go down as well if you do get interrupted, or if you're worried about potential interruption. But for now, I'm going to show you what the max combo you can get is off of these 2 cards. You're going to start off by activating Toy Box, which will set your Toy Soldier and your Toy Tank directly from the deck. For these purposes, I'm going to keep them face up. You're going to use the LZ, sending the Toy Soldier to the graveyard to search for your Azamina LZ, which will trigger Toy Soldier to summon itself, and it'll search now for a Toy Box, or because we already control one, it'll search for any level 4 light, including Sylvie. We'll then normal summon the Sylvie, use the effect to be able to search for our Tales of the White Forest, and then activate LZ Azamina to special summon itself. We're now going to synchro summon with these 2 into our Ricella, and we're going to go Chainlink 1, which will be the Azamina LZ, Chainlink 2 Ricella, sending Tales of the White Forest to the graveyard. So we're going to search out for our Woes and for our Deception. Now, you don't have to search out for Woes off of the Ricella. You could search for the Sinful Spoils of the White Forest, but you're going to get access to that through this combo anyways, so you might as well get Woes to get extra interruption. That being said, we're now going to be able to set the Tails off of the effect because it was sent to grave for cost, and we're going to activate it right away to be able to search for our Esteller. This gives us a monster to tribute, so we're going to use Deception, tributing the Esteller to the graveyard to search for Hallowed Azamina. It's important that Esteller gets to the graveyard because we're going to revive it back to take advantage of its effects a bit later on. Now at this point, we finally have a spell card in graveyard that'll actually stay there, so we're going to go ahead and take these 2, synchro summon them for Diabell, use the effect to add back the Tails to our hand for an extra discard if we need to, and now we can proceed with our plays. We're going to go and activate Hallowed Azamina, sending the Deception to the graveyard to be able to special summon out our Murestalago, which on summon will search us for our Sinful Spoils, our Wanted Seeker of Sinful Spoils. Next, we're going to activate the Hallowed Azamina, and instead of shuffling back the Murestalago, we're actually going to put back our Azamina LZ because it is an Azamina card. So we'll put it back into the deck to add Hallowed Azamina back to our hand. We're now going to perform a link summon with these 2 into our Cross Sheep and activate Hallowed Azamina and use the effect of Wanted in response to be able to search for our Diabell Star, sending the Wanted to the graveyard and special summoning out our Ilias Sylvia. This will trigger Cross Sheep to special summon back from our graveyard. In this case, we summon back the Stellar that we had so easily put back in there for us later on. Now be careful with your zones here, okay? At a certain point in time, we're going to want to use this middle zone over here for a future play. So I would recommend that you summon the Stellar over here because you're not going to be able to, you're going to link someone off until you use that card there. So keep that in mind. That being said, we're now going to be able to use our Diabell Star, sending to special summoning rather by sending the Toy Tank to the graveyard, Chainlink 1 Diabell Star, Chainlink 2 Toy Tank, special summon it out. Diabell Star will set directly from the deck the Sinful Spoils of the White Forest. Next up, we're going to take our Diabell Star, we're going to take our Cross Sheep, and we're going to perform a link summon into the Silhouette Rabbit, which will trigger to set our Azarune directly from the deck. Next up, we're going to go ahead and use a Stellar over here. We're going to send our Woes to the graveyard to special out Rucia, and then Woes is going to reset itself to our side of the field. We're then going to take a Stellar and Toy Tank. They have served their uses, and we're going to special summon out SP Little Knight. For no effect, we used 2 non-extra deck monsters, so it works just fine. But now we can go ahead and use Rucia here. We're going to send our Sinful Spoils of the White Forest to the graveyard to be able to draw ourselves a blank card. In this case, the Triple Tactic Thrust. We'll keep it face down. That's going to trigger our Sinful Spoils of the White Forest, but also trigger our Stellar. We're going to do chain 1 Stellar, chain 2 Sinful Spoils of the White Forest, so summon, and this is going to set itself back face down. We can now go ahead and take our Stellar and take our Silhouette Rabbit and perform a Contact Fusion into Magistus Chirozzo, and then take these 2 and overlay them into our copy of Abyss Dweller. And I would recommend putting your Abyss Dweller in the extra monster zone because you are going to flood your field up quite a bit. Now once we've done all that, we can go ahead and look into our graveyard, and we can banish our Wanted Seeker of Sinful Spoils, targeting our Deception to put it to the bottom of the deck, and then draw ourselves an additional card. So this is our end board right now. We end up with a Angel Statue Azrim for a summon negate. We have a Fusion Summon on our opponent's turn. We have the Woes to Synchro Summon on our opponent's turn. We have SP Little Knights. We have Abyss Dweller, which will put our Rusia into the graveyard to give us an extra way to interrupt the opponent as well. Diabellstar can send any spell or trap to the graveyard, including our tails in our hand, to summon out the Silvera, which is a Book of Eclipse. We have Ilia Sylvia for the Tribute and Omni Negate. We have access to, of course, our, where is it? We have our Sylvie to shuffle back the Rosella, which can then add back our LZ to our hand as well. We have so many plays, so many layer disruptions, and we drew 2 cards, and there are also 3 additional cards in our hand from this combo. This combo is insane and plays through so many things. There's just so many ways that you can stop your opponent with this board. So all these other combos are well and good, but what happens if you get interrupted? I want to show you how to play through Nibiru, and this is a very simple 2-card combo with Sylvie and Toy Box that can play through Nibiru quite easily, and it can even just force your opponent to Nibiru at a weird time, or just turn off their ability to do so in general. So we're going to keep the Nibiru over here just so you guys can tell that's part of the combo. We're going to start by normal summoning Sylvie, use the effect to search for Tales of the White Forest, activate Tails and search for LZ. Use Toy Box to be able to set from our deck the Toy Soldier and the Toy Tank, and we're going to use LZ sending Toy Soldier to special summon itself out and search for Azamina LZ. This will trigger Toy Soldier to summon itself out and search. We're going to be able to get a level 4 light. In this case, it'll be the Rusia. This is 3 summons over here, and instead of doing the traditional play, which is to summon out our copy of Rosella, we're now going to take our Sylvie and our Toy Soldier instead, and we're going to synchro them off into the Diabell. Now we can't use the effect of Diabell, and that's completely fine. This here is our 4th summon. We can now go and special summon the Rusia from our hand, and this is where we kind of force our opponent to make a tough decision. If they decide to go and nib us here, we can proceed with our plays. If they decide not to, we can start threatening pretty much all of our plays as well, because we can get our searches going. So at this point in time, we're going to assume our opponent nibs us over here. What do? Well, in response, we chain our Diabell, sending our Toy Tank to the graveyard to special summon out specifically our Silvera. Very important here. This will send all of these cards to the graveyard, they'll be tributed, and we'll get ourselves a nice fat nib token. On resolution, Toy Tank will activate to special summon itself to our side of the field, and then we can go ahead and use our Rusia in the graveyard, special summon it by sending our Diabell back into the extra deck. Once that's done, we can now go and use our Azamina LZ, special summon itself, and then synchro these 2 off into our Rosella over here. Also very important, we are not going to use the Rosella effect just yet. We're going to go and use our Azamina LZ effect first to search for our Deception of the Sinful Spoils, which we can now activate, use the effect, tributing the Nibiru token for cost to search for our Hallowed Azamina. We can then go and activate Hallowed Azamina, special summoning our Muresalago, and that will activate to search for our Wanted Seeker of Sinful Spoils. Now we're going to take these 2 monsters, link summon them away into our Cross Sheep, and now we're finally going to use our Toy Tank. We're going to tribute it for cost, and because Toy Box is on the field, we can summon either from our graveyard or our hand a level 6 or lower monster. And in this case here, we're going to summon back our Rosella of the White Forest, which triggers on special summon. So on special summon, we activate the effect, send the Toy Box for cost, and we can now search for a White Forest card, specifically the Sinful Spoils of the White Forest. Now we're going to go and use our Hallowed Azamina added to our hand by putting Resalago back into the deck, and now we can go and activate Hallowed Azamina. We can chain the Wanted once again to add our Diabellstar, and we can use both our 2 Sinful Spoil spells to summon out a new monster from our extra deck, being the Azamina Moa Regina. Cross Sheep will trigger because a fusion monster was summoned to a zone it points to, and we can summon back a level 4 or lower monster. In this case is going to be the Rusia. I really want to make sure that you know it has to be Rusia here because you get an extra draw out of its effect if you summon it back, because Cross Sheep does not negate the effects of the monster that you search. Now you can go and use the effect of Moa Regina. It has an effect where once per turn you can just special summon an illusion monster from your graveyard. In this case here, we're going to summon back our copy of the LZ Azamina of the White Forest. Now we're going to finally synchro summon once again into our Diabell because we actually have the materials for it, and we have spell and traps in graveyard. So we're going to use the Diabell, and the card we're going to add from our graveyard is going to be the Sinful Spoils of the White Forest back into our hand, which is going to allow us to have more follow-up plays on our opponent's turn. And now we can go ahead and use our Rusia effect. We can send our Sinful Spoils of the White Forest to the graveyard to draw a blank card, which will trigger our Sinful Spoils of the White Forest to reset itself to our side of the field. I'll keep it face up just for this example. Our next step is going to be to special summon out our Diabellstar. We're going to send the card we drew off of our Rusia to be able to summon it out, and we can use its effect to set a copy of Wanted from our deck to the grave, or to the field rather. I'll keep it again face up for this example. Keep in mind, our opponent still has a Nibiru monster on the field, which you can't see because of the way my layout is, but we're going to go and now banish our copy of Wanted, and we're going to target our copy of Deception to be able to put it to the bottom of our deck and draw a card. However, we're going to chain the effect of Moa Regina here. Whenever a Sinful Spoil spell or trap is activated, you can then target up to 2 cards on the field and pop them and destroy them. So we're going to target our opponent's Nibiru and destroy it. We're then going to have Wanted resolve, Deception will put itself to the bottom of the deck, and we will draw a mystery card. Our next step is to take our Diabellstar and our Cross Sheep and link them off into a copy of the Silhouette Rabbit, which will trigger to set the Azarun to our side of the field. And then we can go and use our Sylvie in the graveyard, which we never did use, targeting our Silvera in the graveyard specifically to be able to put it back in the deck and special summon it, and then we can overlay these two into a copy of Abyss Dweller. This is our end board here. This end board is absolutely insane. Not only do we have 3 other cards in our hand, including the draw we just did right now, we also have the Wanted, which can trigger a pop 2 on our opponent's turn. We have Silhouette Rabbit, which will pop a spell or trap on the field when we activate Azarun, which will negate a summon. Sinful Spoils of the White Forest for a fusion summon. Abyss Dweller is going to be your first action because you want to get into the graveyard, your White Forest monsters. And then Diabellstar, of course, is Diabellstar. And once you activate a copy of Rusia, for example, you try and shuffle back something like your Risella into the deck. Rusia will summon itself out, and that'll trigger your LZ in your graveyard to add it to your hand as well for follow-up. There's so many things you can do with this end board. It is absolutely incredible, but what happens if you don't get nibbed that early? So we backed up just a little bit to the point where now we have Nibiru live once again. Your opponent can Nibiru you here, but what happens if they don't? If they don't Nibiru you here, you simply go ahead and take your Rusia and take your LZ, and you synchro summon into your Risella, and you use the effect sending your toy tank to the graveyard to be able to get a search, in this case for Sinful Spoils of the White Forest. Toy tank will trigger and will be able to special summon itself out to the field. Again, your opponent can Nibiru you here. If they do that, you use the Diabella effect, probably sending your toy box to the graveyard and be able to get additional plays going. In this case here, we're going to assume that they don't feel threatened, so they're not going to drop the Nibiru on us. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to use our toy tank, attribute it for cost to special summon our Rusia to our side of the field. We never used its effect, so we're going to use that now. We're going to use Rusia, sending our toy box to the graveyard because it's completely used now, and we're going to draw an additional card right here. Our next play is going to be to go ahead and actually hard activate Sinful Spoils of the White Forest, and we're going to perform a fusion summon. We can now hard make Ilia Sylvia, so your opponent can Nibiru you here, and depending on your hand, this can be a little bit awkward, but if it's just a hand filled with no other light spellcaster monsters, you are completely fine. Or if it does include light spellcaster monsters, you can still do your plays just fine. That being said, we're going to take our Diabell and our Rusia. We have a light spellcaster monster and an illusion monster. We're going to fusion summon into our Azamina Mu Resalago, which on summon will activate to search us for a Sinful Spoils spell or trap, or Sinful Spoils card, I should say. And we can add Deception of the Sinful Spoils to our hand. We're now going to actually use our Rusia's effect, putting back our Diabellstar into the deck to be able to summon it out to our side of the field, but it's not going to stick around for long because we're going to use the Deception of the Sinful Spoils, activate it to tribute over our Rusia, and search for our Hallowed Azamina. And this right here is the last chance your opponent has to activate Nibiru, because the second you go activate Hallowed Azamina and they no longer nib you, you can now summon out your Ilia Sylvia. So if they nib you, at that point in time, you can still recover because you have LZ, and you still will have an activation of Sylvie in your graveyard. So you have plays that you can do, and you'll still have your Deception and your Hallowed Azamina play live. So let's assume your opponent doesn't have the Nibiru. What do you end on? Well, you summon out your Ilia Sylvia, sending the Deception to the graveyard. Hallowed Azamina goes to the graveyard as well. You then finally use your LZ Azamina because the play is protected, and you special summon it out to your side of the field, and you can now perform a synchro summon with these two monsters. You're going to synchro summon back into your Diabellstar, or your Diabell. You're going to go Chainlink 1, LZ, Chainlink 2, Diabell. Diabell will add back your Sinful Spoils of the White Forest back to your hand, and LZ will add, in this case, it's going to be a Wanted. At this point, you have 2 Sinful Spoils cards in hand. You're going to use your Hallowed Azamina in the graveyard, and you're going to put back your LZ into the deck to add it to your hand. And now you're going to do the same thing we've been doing. You're going to activate Hallowed Azamina, you're going to chain the Wanted, you're going to search for your Diabell Star, and now you're going to send both the Sinful Spoils of the White Forest and the Wanted to the graveyard to be able to special summon from your extra deck Moa Regina. Again, we're going to take advantage of both the Moa Regina's effects in just a second, but the first thing we're going to do is we're going to use our Wanted's effect, banish it, targeting our Sinful Spoils of the White Forest. We can then chain our Moa Regina, and we can target our own Murasalago and destroy this card. So we're going to destroy this card, and then Sinful Spoils of the White Forest will be bottom deck, and then we can activate our Murasalago rather. Because it was destroyed, we can add a Sinful Spoils spell from our deck to our hand, notably Sinful Spoils of the White Forest. It just comes back just like that. Oh, and I'm noticing I didn't even draw off the effect of Wanted, and that's the card we draw over here, so my apologies. That being said, we can now go ahead and use the Diabell Star, special summon it out by sending one of our blank cards to the graveyard, and use the effect to set another copy of Wanted to our side of the field. I should also point out you should probably summon the Moa Regina right over here. That's my mistake. You want to make sure that you keep one of these 2 zones open so that you can always have a way to summon out Cross Sheep effect. So what we're going to do next is use the Moa Regina effect, and we're going to summon out our Murasalago because we can summon any illusion monster from our graveyard. And the reason why this works is because Hallowed Azamina actually says it counts as a fusion summon, so it is properly summoned. We're now going to take our Diabell Star and our Murasalago, and we're going to link them off into our Cross Sheep, which is going to be pointing to our Ilia Sylvia. And now we're going to finally use our copy of the Sylvie in the graveyard because we've already used our Rusia. And we're going to target our Risella, there it is. And we're going to put it into the deck and summon it out. And then we can trigger our Cross Sheep to summon out another level 4 monster. In this case here, we'll summon out, it doesn't really matter, we'll summon the Toy Tank. And we can overlay these 2 into our copy of Abyss Dweller. And we can set 1 card face down, and that is our end board. So what do we have here? Well, we have the Wanted in graveyard, or in on field rather, which will add back the Diabell Star from our grave to our hand, and we can chain the Moa Regina to pop 2. We have our Sinful Spoils of the White Forest, which can fusion summon, but can also trigger Moa Regina. We have the Omni Negate. If we manage to summon out a fusion monster to our copy of the Cross Sheep zone, we can trigger Cross Sheep's effect. We have Abyss Dweller, we have Diabell, we have 1 card in hand, plus an additional 3 cards as well, and a fully loaded graveyard on top of that. I'm really enjoying this deck right now, but it's crazy how much 2 single cards can help this deck. Sinful Spoils of the White Forest takes this deck to another level, but so does Azamina LZ. So there you have it, that's 5 amazing White Forest Azamina combos for this current format. There are tons of different lines the deck can produce, and you have to know them to be able to make the deck as effective as it possibly can be. If you're interested in seeing the spreadsheet video, then make sure to let me know down in the comment below, and I'll be posting a video and explaining how you can get access to the spreadsheet as well. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more amazing Yu-Gi-Oh videos, including more White Forest content. Leave a like if you enjoyed it and if you learned something new, and comment your favorite combo down below. Thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you all next time.